I'm so glad to finally be talking about an MCU property again. Agatha all along. I definitely want to discuss this. Hi, my name's Stu and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. Now this surprised nobody more than me because I'll be honest, I was very skeptical about watching Agatha all along. While I did enjoy the character of Agatha Harkness in the series WandaVision, I was a bit skeptical. I was like, is this really going to work? A show that's focused on witches? Yeah, I'm not big into witches, you know, it doesn't matter, it's got nothing to do with an MCU version of a witch because I didn't really know too much about that before the MCU. I mean, or general comic version of witches, you know, but it was just generally, I'm not too hot on witches and witchcraft and all these kind of things. In horror settings, yes, apart from that, you know, not too big on it. But so I was very skeptical. I thought, you know, but still I enjoy supporting the MCU because I still like it, even although these days that's a lot of a harder sell than it used to be, which I'm very sad about. But yes, you know, I said, right, I'm going to watch it. Until I got to watch it, reviews were already starting to pour in for the first few episodes and people were quite positive about it. So I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. And I must say, while the start of it was a bit rocky, it definitely grew on me as it went. And as the show goes on, in my opinion, it gets better and better. Right, that's the very short version of this review. But before I get too much stuck into it, I just thought I'd preface that. So I really enjoyed WandaVision. Obviously this builds off WandaVision, not too much, but still. So yes, that's also why I was interested in watching this. So if you're not familiar, obviously at this point in the MCU it's really difficult to explain things. Here, it does help quite a lot if you have seen WandaVision because a lot of things tie into this and you'll have some references that you won't understand if you've not seen WandaVision. They're not too big, right? I'm sure you can enjoy the story as is without knowing anything that happened before it. But still, it will definitely fill in a lot of blanks that you may have if you don't watch it. You know, yeah, anyway. So what is this about? Yeah, it's a bit difficult to explain the start really, but yes, because the whole thing to me it felt very strange at the start. So we are still in this town of Westview, which obviously was the place where the events of WandaVision took place. Agatha Harkness, she's not Agatha Harkness in that sense, so she's not running around as a witch, she's running around as a cop, so her mind is still a little bit confused. She is a local cop, she is involved in this investigation. Bodies popping up, you know, and there's a murder to solve. She stumbles upon this teen who breaks into her house and is generally acting weird. And to cut a long story short, this isn't really a massive spoiler. This happens pretty much very, very early on, so you get the gist of it. The story itself is focused on Agatha Harkness gathering a group of witches, her coven, to go on the so-called Witches' Road, right? So they're all expecting certain things from this Witches' Road. Once you get to the end of it, you may wish something for yourself. You will get something for yourself, right? That is the most spoiler-free version I can give you of this story. So the only thing I'll add to it is that along this Witches' Road, they encounter various challenges, various trials that they have to solve, and that is basically what it is. So more or less, each episode you have different, usually just one trial that the group faces and has to overcome. Like I say, with the goal being, at the end of the Witches' Road, they gain something, right? That's so that's the spoiler-free version. I'll leave it at that. Now, it does sound that's one of the things, you know, on paper, I was like, okay, this doesn't really sound too exciting for me. Like, again, you know, I'm not too big into witches, but watching for the MCU connection, I still think, I mean, it is really crazy to think that this is connected to the MCU because it does feel very, very distant from you know, the rest of the story. But that's actually what's cool about it, I would say, because it is cool that within the MCU, it's starting to get like actual comics out. You can have such a huge variety of different stories and characters. They sometimes interlock and interact with each other, but other than that, they'll all be off on their own way, doing their own kind of story. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You know, you try and get obviously as big of an audience as you can, and this is one way of doing it. Yes. That alone, though, wasn't enough to pull me in. The first few episodes, I wasn't too big on this. I mean, it develops very slowly, I will say that. So it is a bit of a slow burner. I didn't really pull me in that much. I'm like, okay, do I care about these people? Not really sure. I mean, Agatha Harkness is a fun character to watch on screen, but apart from that, and the other ones are great as well. By the way, the acting throughout the whole ensemble cast is really good. I wouldn't single out any one. It works with all of them together, and that's the only way you could have done this. But yes, sort of from the midway point, I will say that's when it really got going for me. So if you, like me at the start, weren't too sold on how it goes, you know, if you're not too entertained, you're like, I'm not sure if I'm really into this, I would recommend to keep watching, because you might be like me, and from the middle point on approximately, you're like, okay, this sounds interesting, this is fun, you know, we're going places, I like what they're doing, and these kind of things. One thing I will say though, I mean, without going into specifics, but still, I feel that it builds until the very end, so as it goes, it gets better, in my opinion, and it doesn't drop off at any point, so that quality stays, or rather even improves, in my opinion, up to the end. What's really interesting is once you've finished the series, I feel that you've got a very, very good reason to go back and rewatch the whole thing. And that is actually quite interesting, because thinking of all the MCU shows until now, I haven't really felt the urge to go back and watch them again, right? In this case, I do, because they give you some very specific reasons that will make you interested to look back at previous episodes. And I actually think I am going to do it, because it really does change your perspective quite a bit. And that is really cool. I love those kind of things. It's, you know, it's like the Sixth Sense. You know, you never forget the first time you watch the Sixth Sense. Hopefully no one will spoil it for you. And then, you know, you go and watch it again, and like, it's a whole different film the second time around. So this, I feel, is a bit like that. So I'm actually going to watch it again at some point. Don't know when. But I will do that, because they really sold me on that, and that's really cool. I mean, that is something that really adds to it, you know, rewatchability. That's not something you have that often. So I think that is really a really good concept. The Witches' Coven, they have great chemistry with each other. Their interactions, I've already mentioned the acting, which is wonderful. It's a lot of fun in the sense, a bit like WandaVision was, where each episode was in a very, very different TV style. Here we've also got them in different decades, and so their outfits change, and the environment that they're in will change according to whichever decade. That I found a lot of fun. You know, they lean into a lot of silliness, which I can certainly appreciate. They didn't take themselves too serious. The story does have its moments, you know, where it does get serious and stuff, but it's definitely doing the humour stuff very well. So in that sense, I feel it's very entertaining. They chose releasing it around Halloween very well too. Of course, being witches and you know, having witches in the story, that helps, and it just fits in really well with that too. Yes, overall, I'm really curious to see at the end of it, without spoiling of course, how it might integrate into the larger story of the MCU, or whether we'll see some characters pop up again from this show. It's definitely possible. It's always possible with Marvel, of course. Definitely wouldn't mind that. But I feel like, again, you can watch this on your own. You might want to watch WandaVision, but I mean, that obviously puts you on a track of, okay, to watch WandaVision, it might be good to watch some of the other films, particularly the Avengers films. You know, it gets a bit muddy, a bit complicated, it sounds a bit like work for some people. So I would say, if you can, watch WandaVision. If you can't, won't really matter too much. I'm sure you'll learn enough from the story itself, or, you know, a quick look online if you're really interested will fill in those blanks that you may have. But the story is fine without it. There are not too many connections. They really are just sort of the base for the story, but, you know, the story itself is self-contained and actually doesn't have a lot to do with WandaVision. The most of it. That's all I'll say. Yes, so as a recommendation from me, I'm very excited to see what the MCU does. I hope this is sort of like, you know, I mean, not that I disliked all of the past projects, but, you know, you can tell that the quality is a bit hit and miss. Like, I enjoyed She-Hulk. It wasn't the best thing out there, but I enjoyed it. Then you had Secret Invasion, which I thought was really bad. I really did not enjoy that. This is a lot better again, so I hope that this quality now is what's going to stay with the MCU. I want them to be good. I want to watch these things. You know, I want to at some point go, right, I'm going to do a whole rewatch of the MCU, and it's just going to be fun. Because as it is now, I'm going to probably skip over some parts. You know, that's a shame. As a comic fan, I want that to be good again. So, That'll be all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below about anything you want to say about Agatha all along, or, you know, the MCU at large. Any of these things, how it might tie in, or what you're looking forward to. Anything you want to say, put that down in the comments below. I'll thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one on Flying Wiener. Take care. Bye.